Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. I see the way you try to hold everything together as we moms are handling a thousand things at the same time. The endless questions, the endless things to do list, until one tiny thing just tips you over the edge. And then the guilt hits and the screaming starts, or the overwhelm and the stress level is just at that tipping point where you cannot hold it in any longer. So this video is not about shaming us. It's about understanding what's really going on in our minds and our bodies when we feel that surge of anger, and how to break free from this autopilot reaction. Okay? If you're finding yourself um, on that tipping point more than often, then we need to understand a little bit of the psychology that goes on behind. Okay, so this is what we're talking about: how to not lose my temper. If you're new here, my name is Tasneem. I'm a parenting coach for moms who are overwhelmed with the stress, and every day seems like a scream fest. So we want to bring that calm and peace and joy into parenting again. That's what we're here for. Today is day 29 of the 30 days reset to calm. We're almost at the end, ladies. If you haven't seen the other videos, I encourage you to go back and check out the videos and join me on this mission of finding more peace and calm in our lives, in our homes, and for with our families. Let's dive in. Okay. So, let's understand the psychology of the mom anger. Okay, psychologists call it maternal rage. That's that sudden, intense anger that feels out of character. Okay, you're all calm and you're composed and you're organized and you're trying to keep everything together until you snap and it's just out of your character. So it's not just losing your temper, it's the mental load, maybe the sleep deprivation, the constant giving without enough of refilling. Okay, so I've done a separate video on this. You cannot serve from an empty cup. Maybe you want to check that out and understand that we need to be focusing a little bit more on ourselves first. Okay, we always are giving, 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 and that just leads us to burnout. Okay, Dr. Laura Markham says our anger is often a signal, a red flag that our needs aren't being met. Okay, and we're pushing ourselves to that limit where it's no longer possible. Okay, so another psychologist, Dr. Siegel, explains that it's through the brain's upstairs and downstairs model. Okay, I love how he talks about this. So he says the upstairs brain is where logic, empathy, and patience live. Okay? The downstairs brain is the survival mode, the fight, flight, or freeze mode. Okay? That's the stress. So when we're stressed, tired, or overwhelmed, the downstairs brain hijacks the upstairs brain. Okay? And that's why we snap over, a kid trying to put on his shoes and taking forever. Okay. So it's not about the tying of the shoes. It is just that moment when it is your body has just taken too much, and you've tipped over. Okay. So let's talk about what is actually happening in the body. A little bit of psychology today. So we understand ourselves, and it's really, really important to understand ourselves first in order to understand what's going on outside, right? So that sudden flare of anger that you feel, that's your amygdala, okay? Your brain's built-in alarm that's going off. Nina, Nina, okay, emergency, the signal is on. It's designed to protect you from danger, okay? So in a split second, it floods your brain, your body with stress chemicals like cortisol and adrenaline. Okay, remember in the old days when we saw a tiger and our body, like we weren't around, right? But our generations, um, they went through. So this is inbuilt in us, okay? This flight and fight mode, the stress mode. So they used to face tigers and lions, and their body would just, be in that flight mode instantly, right? That stress, the cortisol, the adrenaline would rush into their body, so they were able to run. Okay, so in the same situation, when this happens to us, when we get triggered, when we get upset, when we get angry, frustrated, and we're tipping over, um, our heart races, our muscles tighten, our jaws clench, and that cortisol is released. Okay. Some people get a high on this. If you're addicted to this and you feel like I'm doing this every single day and I find that release, it is because your body is literally addicted to this hormone. Okay. And without it, something feels missing. Okay, so it's the same survival reaction if you'd have if a car swerved toward you, except right now the threat is your toddler trying refusing to put on his shoes. Okay, so that is the threat. He is not wanting to eat his dinner. He's not wanting to get ready for school, etc., etc. So that is the threat that we're facing right now. Instead of the tiger, the child is the threat. Okay, so our biology is doing what it was built to do, right? It's just showing up in the wrong moment. That's not the moment when the tiger is there, right? It's our child having a tantrum. So the challenge isn't that the body reacts, it's learning how to guide it back to calm when the emergency is actually everyday parenting, right? So there is no life threatening situation right now at that moment, but our body treats it like that, okay? So why do we react on autopilot? How has this become an autopilot reaction? Okay, so here's the thing, our reactions are often learned scripts. Okay, maybe you grew up in a home where anger was the default. Okay, and either your mom or your dad or your eldest brother would snap at you for a small thing. Okay, and they'd get angry, and that yelling and that screaming was a norm in your house. Okay, and that's how you grew up. Or maybe you've been running on empty for so long that your brain has wired quick trigger pathways. Okay, so you snap because you don't get that time to recover, and your body doesn't get time to recover. So over time, these reactions become automatic, like muscle memory. Okay, these wires are so strong together that it's automatic that you react in that moment. And without that reaction, your body misses it. Okay, it's really strange to hear this. I hope this is like lighting up a light bulb in your mind, because when I figured this out and I started seeing my patterns and why I was, snapping at my kids, it was like, oh my goodness, this is ridiculous, right? And so I had to discharge that automatic response. I had to recognize it and I had to weaken that pattern. Okay? And because our society tells us moms to be endlessly patient, that's all you need to be, okay? The shame after an outburst is really, really heavy and it can feel guilty. We're human beings, so it's not possible for us to be calm and peaceful all the time, okay? Even though this whole series is about resetting to calm, but it's about resetting. Okay, we make a mistake, we can tip, we can get angry, we can get frustrated, we can even have an outburst, but we want to instantly, or at least eventually, bring it back to calm, okay? And you don't want that household to be in continuous stress mode, okay? So that shame keeps us in silence, okay? And which means we don't get the support we need. And I'm having so many conversations with moms who are going through this, but they feel guilty about getting upset, getting angry with their kids, okay? Because they don't have the tools in order for them to understand where this automatic response is happening inside their body, inside their brain. Okay, so that's why I created that's why I'm here, and that's why I really want to educate moms about this, because the first few years, the 0 to 7 years in a child's life, that is the crucial time when the kids see you, how you react, how you behave when you're stressed out, when you're angry, how do you react? Okay. And they're going to do the same exact thing. Okay. And this is like a wake up call. Okay. So let's talk about how to break the cycle. Okay. How to break the cycle of the yelling and the screaming, and how to reset to calm better, faster, more maturely, with emotional mastery, right? So here's the good thing: you can rewire your brain. We have the power to do that. Okay. So these are a few suggestions that you can do. I always talk about the pause, okay, the breathing exercise. Dr. Siegel talks about name it to tame it. Okay. So say out loud, I am feeling very angry at this moment. I am feeling very, very upset at this moment. So what happens is this shifts activity back to your upstairs brain. Okay. And you recognize and you give that moment for the upstairs and the downstairs to connect. Then check your triggers. This is so important. And we kind of have a blind side about this, okay? We don't see those as triggers. But when we step back, and if you do these journaling exercises that I've put together in the Master Your Calm guide, that's in the bundle, it is so powerful because you start recognizing your own patterns, your own triggers. You realize, okay, this is something that makes me upset. Okay, these kind of words makes me upset. At the end of the day, at this time, I lose my cool. I need to take a break at this certain time of the day. And you keep like a rage journal. Okay, so you write down what sets you off, what time of the day. Maybe the hunger issues, maybe it's the noise, maybe it's certain behaviors, the way your child talks to you. Okay, and you will see beautifully how patterns emerge. Okay, so for me, I talked about this in a couple of other videos about eczema. I had eczema for many years, and when I would get triggered, the eczema would flare up more. And so I'd be scratching, and the itching would leave me with sleepless nights. And this would definitely, it would impact my kids and how I reacted with them, how I treated them. And it was my anger, my frustration, it all emanated onto them. Okay. And realizing this now, I wish that I had reacted differently. I had learned these skills before. Okay. Tend to your needs, your needs. Okay. Anger is often unmet needs in disguise. Ask yourself, have I drank enough water today? Have I got enough rest today? Am I hungry? Am I lonely? Am I wanting to vent? Am I wanting just quiet time? Okay, what is it that you need? Okay, repair and don't ruminate. Okay, and this is so powerful, ladies. Many of us don't do this. Okay, so if you lose it and you get angry, you get upset at your child, circle back, apologize to your child in simple words. And this is so huge. Okay, it shows so much emotional mastery, and it teaches your kids and recognize how to um, own up to it. Okay, so you can say something like, I was feeling upset, and I'm sorry I yelled at you. Okay, I'm working on it, right? So this models emotional regulation, and it shows that you're human, right? Moms are human, and that builds a really deep connection with your kids. And it teaches them that it's okay to have occasional outbursts, and how to own up to it, how to recognize it. And moms make mistakes too, right? And that brings you guys closer too. Okay. A fun thing that I like to do, and I think it really works wonders for me, when I'm on that edge, when I know I'm going to lose my cool, okay, my husband recognizes it, Or I'd look at him and we'd give each other a signal. He'd come in and he'd just step in. Okay, he'd take over. Okay, if I'm seeing that my child's room is a complete mess and I've told him a couple of times to clean it up and I know I'm going to get really upset, okay, he can hear the conversation. And before it spirals, it's called a tag team. Okay, so he just puts a hand on my shoulder and he says, okay, you step out, I'm going to step in. So it's like a tap in, tap out kind of signal before the meltdowns. Okay, so it normalizes the emotional boundaries and models healthy partnership. Okay. All right, the power of not getting angry. So, when you choose not to react in anger, you're not just avoiding a blow up, you're teaching your child that big feelings can be handled without harm. Okay, you're breaking generational patterns. This is so crucial, ladies. If you have been recognizing this from your parents and you're doing the same thing, it's very likely that your kids, when they grow up, or very, very soon, they're going to start reacting the same way. Okay. So you're protecting the bond between you and your child. And that bond is the foundation for emotional health. Okay. So, mom, we're all human. Okay. We all have our days. So the power of not getting angry isn't about being perfect. It's just about awareness, compassion, and continuous practice. So I invite you to check out the bundle and get the PDF guide that's going to help you recognize your triggers. Okay, the link is going to be in the description below. If this resonated with you and this was helpful for you, to share with someone that would benefit, subscribe and and leave me a comment below where you're from. Okay, it's a simple one word. Where are you tuning in from? Let me know in the comments. And I'll see you in the last video tomorrow for this series, Reset to Calm. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thanks for being here.